I bought a new watch not so long ago. I don't usually dedicate a lot of time to talking about my own watches. I don't hide my watches as such. You can pause my videos and you'll see different watches on my wrist. But you've all been so incredibly loyal to my humble channel, and I know some of you are curious about what I own, so here is my review of my new Tudor Pelagos FXD in black. Quick recap, it's a 42mm watch. It's got a lug-to-lug of 52mm. The watch is 12.75mm in thickness. The lug width is 22mm and it has fixed lugs, so you are limited to purlin straps and NATO straps. This watch is not getting a steel bracelet or a classic rubber or leather strap. Inside the watch, you have the MT5602 movement, which is a Kinesi movement that is COSC certified and has 70 hours of power reserve. The watch is waterproof to 200 meters. The dial is black with white text, except for one single line of red text. The case is titanium and you get 2 straps when you buy the watch. The watch is about $4,150, but you can get them a little bit cheaper on the secondary market. They aren't produced in large numbers, but they are relatively easy to get a hold of. I said the following when I did the original review a couple of months back.
As far as I'm concerned, this watch is absolutely gorgeous. It looks stunning. The matte dial and bezel coupled with the titanium case make for a very rugged, toolish aesthetic, which I think is quite appealing to a lot of people.
This watch appealed to me, obviously. I've said a ton of times that Tudor makes boring watches, and they do. Whether it's the middle of the road blue Black Bay 58 or the new Black Bay monochrome or this watch, their watches are not edgy, especially not for a brand that says they are born to dare. But me saying they're boring doesn't mean I don't like them. I should probably have said vanilla instead of boring, because I like vanilla. There's nothing wrong with vanilla. And to be fair, it's a pretty high quality of vanilla. Anyways, I was looking for a new dive watch and I had my eye on a couple of different options. I was specifically looking at 4 different watches. The Sinn U50, the new Seiko SBB 453, the 42mm 50 fathoms, and the Pelagos FXD. There's a huge difference in price on all those watches, but you should have quickly realized that they all have some things in common. They are primarily black divers. The Sinn U50 has a matted stainless steel due to the tegimenting process that Sinn uses. It has a secured black bezel with signature Lego block hands and splashes of red on the hand and on the bezel. The SBB 453 is the new and updated version of the SBB 143, which I already own. It's got a more refined case. It's got a slimmer design by a millimeter or 2. It's black. The dial is more matte than the 143, and the date window has been moved to the 430 position. The 50 fathoms is the luxury model. It's $16,000, which puts it at 12 or 13 times more expensive than the Seiko. It's got a titanium case. It's got a black dial with lume green plots, markers, and bezel text. It's the fattest of the watches with a thickness of over 14.3 millimeters, but it's also the one with the most impressive movement and by a million miles the best finishing. It's still a tool watch, but it's an incredibly luxurious one at that. I've got a couple of rules when it comes to buying anything, and one is that above a certain price point, and watches are always above that price point, there's nothing called an impulse purchase. I have to have a longer period of time where I consistently find myself coming back to the watch and still wanting it. The SBB 453 disappeared quickly from the list for the simple reason that I think that 143 is still great for me. The refinements are cool, but not enough for me to replace it with a newer model. The second watch to go was the 50 fathoms, mainly for 2 reasons. One, I wanted a white textured dial. I wanted it as neutral can be. Green lume was not what I wanted, as I wanted something that was able to blend into the background, and the 50 doesn't with the green, and also because of a lot of polish and a very reflective bezel. The 21.5mm lug width was not really a problem. I tried it with some 22mm NATOs and it works fine. But the problem was that when you throw on a NATO on this thing, the 14.3mm in height becomes closer to 16mm. I wanted a watch that was a NATO monster, and the 50 fathoms just turned into a brick on my wrist. That left me down to the U50 and the Pelagos. The U50 lost because of the red text. I tried my very best to get a hold of a reasonably priced U50 Professional. The U50 Professional was a limited edition of, I think it was about 150 pieces that sold out more or less instantly, but it had what I was looking for. Black dial, white text. So there it was, the FXD. It had exactly what I'd been looking for, and I'd been going back and forth about this watch for months and months, so I knew it was time. At the time of recording, I've had this watch for a little bit more than a month. It's been getting a lot of wrist time, obviously, and it's getting it for the exact reason that I bought it. It's chill, it's relaxed, it's rugged, but completely under the radar. There's nothing on this watch that draws attention to it. There's no ceramic, there's no highly polished lugs, there's no polished center links, there's no color. This means I can throw on more or less any NATO on and it's going to look good. I can throw on black or white or marine national or beige or camo or army green or burgundy. All of those options work, and that's a versatility that I really appreciate. You might think that it's supplanted my SPB 143, but it hasn't. They are the two watches that have gotten most wrist time in the last months. The SPB 143 is more of a beta watch to me and always has been. It's always been the watch I quickly grab when I need to do something in the backyard or use something that involves power tools. The Pelagos, on the other hand, is on my wrist when I'm off to the pub quiz night with the boys. Yeah, that's something I do regularly. If I'm going over to friends for a braai, on it goes. Casual Friday in the office, on it goes, and it just works. It does, at least if you like watches on NATO straps, which I do. On a more practical level, this watch is a dream to wear for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's titanium. I never said I didn't like titanium. I don't personally need anti-allergenic properties, and I'm not worried at all that my watches are going to corrode. I rarely, if ever, stick my hand in the ocean, so it's really not a concern I have. The lightness is cool, but most importantly, the matte nature of the alloy just makes this a very undercover kind of watch. It's a characteristic that I really appreciate about titanium. The bezel has a satisfying action. The FXD has a little bit of a quirk, which the Alinghi also has, and that is that if you press down on the bezel, there's a little bit of vertical flex between the bezel and the case. I don't think it's a flaw, but just a consequence of how the bezel is fixed to the case. Like I said, the Alinghi and the Marine National also have this characteristic. The movement is also very easy to hear in the case. And it's something I actually notice in the Seamaster 300M No Time to Die as well. There's clearly something going on with the acoustic properties of titanium that make the movements, at least to me, sound more audible and a little bit more cheap. I also noticed it once on the Grand Seiko Shunbun, which has it to some extent as well. So it's not a Tudor thing. It's not something that I see as a negative, but it's just a characteristic of the material. As for wearability, this watch doesn't wear like a 52mm lug-to-lug watch, and that's because of the fixed lugs. The curvature of the lugs and where they measure from is misleading, and sure, it wears larger than a Seamaster 300M, but not by much. Tudor have also done an excellent job of not having a massively protruding caseback, which the SPB 143 does a little bit, and as a result, these watches don't gain a lot of height on NATO straps. The overall profile is just really sleek and unassuming. So far, it keeps time perfectly, and yes, legibility is exactly what you'd expect from high contrast white on black. The lume is good, but not Seiko burn your face off levels, but I was surprised how bright it was after an hour or two outside in direct sunlight. How did I finance the watch? Well, I have a 1 in and 1 out policy, and the watch that went out was my Bulgari Octo Finissimo. I've had that watch for 5 years, and it has had a ton of wrist time, but since COVID, that watch gradually fell out of favor, getting less and less wrist time. This is partially down to my wardrobe changing, and partially changing because my way of working has changed. It just doesn't work as well with jeans and a t-shirt as it does with a fitted Italian suit. The Bulgari is an exceptional watch and technically in every way imaginable better than the Tudor. I've got no problem with selling my watches. Every now and again I regret selling a watch, but for the most part I know that my tastes change over time, and as they change I say goodbye to some watches and hello to others. The Octo net me a little bit more money than the FXD cost, and that money is then there for a potential next purchase. I've got an idea, but I'm not quite there yet. Finally, this watch is going to be my vacation watch this year. Last year it was the Explorer 2 that made its way to my wrist. This year it's the FXD. When you see this video, I'll already be back home after 10 days in Portugal. I plan on jumping into a pool with the kids. I plan on swimming maybe once in the ocean. I will likely complain about sand. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and gets everywhere. But the Pelagos FXD with the titanium case and no bracelet links should do admirably in that sandy environment. And because I have a couple of different straps, including rubber straps, the watch is going to be ready for whatever I throw at it. I won't be diving. I won't be invading a small African nation, approaching their coastline with my Navy SEAL buddies. I won't be camoed up under a jungle canopy with Dutch, Billy, Blaine and Mac, but it will likely still serve me well. With a little luck, I also won't get robbed because it doesn't really look like anything special. But so far, to me, it is special. That's it for this time. Yes, I bought a Tudor. Sometimes they make cool watches too. What are you wearing this summer? Like, subscribe. Cheers.